All right, let's take a look. Let's get on to Noahide number 2. Incestuous and adulterous relations are forbidden under the Noahide laws. Okay, however, this is the Babylonian Talmud that created these Noahide laws, and let's see what they allow, okay? They have no problem under the Babylonian Talmud allowing sexual intercourse between children and adults. Now, I quote some of this stuff, but I left most of it out because if you knew the amount of sexual iniquity that is allowed in the Talmud, it would make you ill, okay? So we're just going to talk about just a couple of items. Okay, so this is from the Babylonian Talmud, the Tractate Ketubah 11b. This is from the Sonsino 1961 editions, pages 57 and 58, those people who don't think I cited the record. When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it's nothing. But when the girl is less than this, it is if one puts the finger in the eye. But when a small boy has intercourse with a grown-up woman, he makes her as a girl who's been injured by a piece of wood. And with regard to the case of a girl injured by a piece of wood itself, there is a different opinion between Rabbi Meyer and the sages. Oh, great. The Talmud text is clear. No guilt is incurred with a boy child younger than 9, even if it's incest. Okay? And if you go and you read those laws, I have a blog up on this on the Cepher space that has a lot more comments out of this particular section of the Talmud, talking about what's allowed and what isn't allowed, and about how there's no problem having sex with a child under the age of 9 and over the age of 3 because they're not going to remember it anyway. And, look, most Jews who follow the Talmud rebuke this passage, okay? Most of them do. But nonetheless, it is from this document, the Talmud, that these Noahide laws were created, and they take this document and they say this is the moral center and the foundational ethical principles of the whole world. No, it isn't. Not a chance. No way. Okay, Noahide number 3. This is slide 11. Murder is forbidden. The life of a human being formed in God's image is sacred. Okay, well, who can disagree with this? The answer is those practicing Talmudic Judaism in accord with what it's written, especially when it comes to killing an infant in the satanic rite of abortion. Talmudic scholars maintain that the prohibition on harm to a person only refers to the pregnant woman and not to the fetus, since the scripture, and hence the scriptural injunction. He that smites a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death, does not apply to the killing of a fetus. That's from, I don't know what it is, Mekhi Savi, edition Epstein Melamed 126, and the Mishpatim 8 from the Targum. Okay? So, I mean, here's the citations right here from the Talmud saying, oh, yeah, it doesn't, thou shalt not kill doesn't apply to the fetus. This is why it's no problem for the Chabad Lubavitch to advocate for abortion up until just before the child is born. And by the way, there is a distinguishment under the Noahide laws for children of the non-Jews or the seed of Satan. Their children, they can be aborted, no problem, doesn't cause any harm to anybody, ever, not under any circumstance. Here, we're just talking about Jewish children who the statute, thou shalt not kill, doesn't apply to the baby. Until the baby takes its first breath, thou shalt not kill does not apply to the baby under the Talmud. Okay, Noahide number 4. Cursing the name of God is forbidden besides honoring and respecting God. Okay. Speaking the name of Yahweh is forbidden under the Talmud. This is in Noahide number 4. The Mishnah in Sanhedrin 10 lists those who have no share in the world to come, including in these, according to Abba Shaul, is someone who utters the divine name as it is spelled. No part in the world to come. Okay? No resurrection for you. The Ramban's commentary, okay, the Ramban, 13th century, the Ramban's commentary on the Mishnah says, and likewise, one who pronounces the name of God, of course, God being in my opinion, a curse word, with its letters, Yod He Vav He, which is the explicit name, or the Shem HaMefarash, and they have already mentioned things besides these that if anyone does them, he has no share in the world to come. Okay, let's go to the next slide, in slide 13, continuing on this same thing about pronouncing the name. According to Judaism 101, now let's listen to this. This is from Judaism 101. Nothing in the Torah prohibits a person from pronouncing the name of God. Bingo. Thank you for admitting it. That's an accurate and complete description. Indeed, it is evident from Scripture that God's name was pronounced routinely And Josephus verifies this as well. Many common Hebrew names contain Yah or Yahu, part of God's four-letter name. Now, what is this? Judaism 101, saying that Yah and Yahu are part of God's name. Now, let's compare that to the people who want to advocate for Yehovah. Okay? The name was pronounced as part of the daily services in the temple, according to Judaism 101. You notice that Judaism 101 doesn't make any reference to the name Yeh or Yeho, right? You don't see that anywhere. You don't see it anywhere. It's readily admitted right here that Yah and Yahu were part of the sacred name. Okay, but the Mishnah confirms that there was no prohibition against pronouncing the name in ancient times. However, by the time of the Talmud, with the Babylonian Talmud they're talking about, it was the custom to use substitute names for God. And who created this custom? Rabbi Akiva, an Amalekite who convinced the Jews that he should be a rabbi. Some rabbis asserted that a person who pronounces the Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh according to its letters instead of using a substitute has no place in the world to come and should be put to death. Now, who are these people who are creating these laws that have the death penalty here, the death penalty here, the death penalty here, and the death penalty here? They are the same people who insisted on the blood sacrifices, although Jeremiah 7:21 says, burnt offerings and sacrifices I did not command you when I brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim.
Hardline religious group Matei Irgunei Hamikdash, or headquarters of the temple organizations, has a mission to rebuild a Jewish house of worship on Jerusalem's Temple Mount. Currently home to Al-Aqsa Mosque, Islam's third holiest site, the location has been long contested between the two religions. The Jewish group, however, maintains that the location is key for fulfilling biblical prophecies.
It is a new start of the redemption, and we hope that next year or even before we will be on the Temple Mount. The law will come from here. All the 70 nations, they will have a seat in the court, and the law will be the law of the Bible.
On a rainy day before Passover, the organization gathers on a rooftop in the Old City to carry out a controversial practice: ritual sacrifice. Under the watch of high security, the sheep is brought to a secluded area. Religious followers continue to make final preparations.
We're on another milestone in the process of the return of the Jewish people to their homeland.
Young men playing the role of priests dress in biblical-looking clothes. It's now time to begin. Everyone gathers to pray as the priests reenact ancient traditions from the Bible.
The event that takes place here is not an event in itself. It's a practice. It's a training. And people are coming here to learn, to understand.
Out of the eye of the public, the sheep is slaughtered. Its blood is brought out for ritual use.
And maybe this year, in 4 days later, the representative of the groups of the Israelites will come with their lamb to the yards of their temple. We built a kosher altar and start all the ritual of Pesach lambs.
To complete the sacrifice, the lamb is skinned and displayed for the group. The body is cooked to be eaten later that night.
But they insisted on setting up a temple and sacrificing and sacrificing and sacrificing. Isaiah said, I've had it with your new moons and Sabbaths. Your hands are full of blood. Stop the sacrifice. Mashiach died on the cross and said it is finished. Now, these same people who want to propose these Noahide laws with its decapitation for anybody they don't like are the ones who are sacrificing animals again in Jerusalem in the high place. Okay, slide 14. Theft is forbidden. The command is consistent with the 10 Devarim, actually given to us in writing in both Shemot 20 and Devarim 5, but why are others cut out? Under the Noahide laws, Gentiles don't have to honor their father and their mother, even though that law was actually given to Noah. They can obviously bear false witness, and covetousness is obviously permitted. You know, you have fraud by omission, right? You have fraud by omission. Oh, we left that out. And believe me, In the rabbinical world, when you leave something out as a prohibition, that means you can do it. In other words, if it says no adulterous and incestuous relations, but we didn't say no sex with children is in. Okay, Noahide number 6. Eating the flesh of a living animal is forbidden. All right, okay, I guess somebody did this back in the old days. Hey, we need a leg of lamb. Go cut off the lamb's leg and then let them go around with 3 legs for a while. I mean, nobody does that now in the modern world, but I guess they did in the old world. It's interesting, and given that the teaching of the apostles is to avoid meat sacrificed to idols. You see, when you talk about what's in the book of Acts, here James is telling them, look, tell them not to eat meat sacrificed to idols, not this business of, cut off a limb and let it live, right? To somehow pull out this obscure law somehow means by omission that eating blood or unclean food is expressly allowed for the Gentiles, right? And you see, it's not what they said, it's what they didn't say. Okay, the only food law that's going to apply to you guys is don't cut off an animal's limb and eat it and leave the animal living. That's the only food law. The other food laws about not eating pork and shellfish and all that only belongs to us, not you. That's ours, not yours. That's just ours, not yours. You guys can eat whatever you want. Just don't cut off one limb, right? That's the implication from that. Okay, Noahide number 7. Mankind is commanded to establish courts of justice and a just social order to enforce the first 6 laws and enact any other useful laws or customs. And who wants to be the worldwide Supreme Court? Well, none other than the nation Sanhedrin, who now meet in their new synagogue under the Temple Mount. Now, this is a picture of this synagogue that's been created underneath the Temple Mount that seats the 70 who sit around some giant pomegranate. Now, I don't know what the deal is with the giant pomegranate. I guess because the pomegranate is full of seed, they eat the fruit full of seed. Therefore, it's somehow fruitful or, harvestful or something. I don't know. But anyway, they have the giant pomegranate, and the 70 sit around it under the Temple Mount. This is the proposed World Supreme Court, the nation Sanhedrin, who will be adjudicating our guilt or innocence under these trumped up, phony, fakey, rabbinically created Noahide laws. The Noahide laws have no place in the United States and should be foreclosed by international law to be inapplicable in all nations with the possible exception of Israel. In addition to being an open contradiction to the Torah, anathema to the teaching of the Mashiach, and fraudulent in their creation, they also violate the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. End of argument. Now, let's talk about the claims of the Noahide laws, right? And we're going to go into these a little bit, and we're going to see why these Noahide laws are just absolutely full of beans, okay? Here's the claim. To the Jewish people, God gave the entire Torah teaching as their law. They therefore have a special responsibility with special commandments to be the priesthood of the world and a light unto the nations. Okay, this is from the Jews and Hasidic Gentiles united to save America, okay, or JHAG USA. Now, here's the scripture that says, you're dead wrong, you're completely wrong. And Moshe went up into Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shall you say to the house of Yaakov and tell the children of Yasharel. Does it say to the house of Judah only? No, it says to tell the children of Yasharel, all of the tribes. Ye have seen what I did to the Mitzrayim, and how I bore you out on eagle's wings and brought you into myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and guard at my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Yasharel. That's all of the children of Yasharel. That is to say, Ephraim is a king and a priest. Manasseh is a king and a priest. Asher is a king and a priest. Benjamin's a king and a priest. Shimon is a king and a priest.